happy to be joined by Adam Boyes of Sony, your publisher, developer relations. You are a big man here. It's good to see you again. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So we just really got a sense, a better sense now of what Sony's commitment is to indie games. If you just wouldn't mind kind of going over what's the core philosophy of it, and how have you guys shifted from where you were?
I think the core philosophy is really to stand behind developers and make sure that the process of them getting out on the platform is as easy as humanly possible. You know, a lot of times in the past, I think we did a lot of proprietary things that made it more difficult, and now we're trying to break that down. It helps when you have Mark Cerny, right, who's a game developer by heart, as the lead systems architect on the new platform. That sort of trickles down to an entire philosophical shift of making the entire process easier for developers to get on the platform.
So let's talk about it, and you guys were quite open that there were mistakes with the PlayStation 3, the more kind of traditional corporate way of doing things. Why is that so entrenched? Like the old way it was being done?
Well, I don't think it's really, it was a decision we made back then when the marketplace was different, right? We didn't have as many people that were in their basement that had the ability to make content, and now the world's a completely different place. So we need to be able to evolve and change to represent and reflect that. Now you have people that are making content in their basement with 3 friends or whatever that want to get their content out to the world, whereas 10 years ago it was a lot more different, right? You look 25 years ago and guys were doing that with arcades, but now it's sort of all coming back. So it's nice to be able to be there to facilitate that process of getting their games out there.
So what is Sony's involvement? I mean, this almost looks like, it's like, yep, here's a platform, you can put a game on it. I mean, there must be some, obviously, for highly inappropriate content, or something that might be a little bit odious in terms of what it might do to your machine or your emails.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's content guidelines that they have to adhere to. They also have to pass through the certification process, so ensure that it doesn't crash or do anything disruptive to the console. So there is sort of a couple stages they have to go through, but making all the other aspects of it as easy as possible is key for us, right? So the concept submission, they fill out a form saying, here's what, here's one of the things I support on the platform, and then they're off the races building the content. They can check in with us and get feedback from us if they'd like, but basically the first time we see it after that one page that they fill out is when they submit the content for the review and ensure the certification compliance is there.
Now, obviously, this is a lot of games, and they can set their pricing. So you could be looking at games that are 50 cents, that are $1. How is that not seen as potentially undermining Sony selling their own games? It's sort of like, obviously what it is, I mean, yes, Sony makes a console, but they also make games out there.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you kind of maintain that balance?
I mean, to us, it's sort of a free market economy, right? If they want to put it out there at that price and dabble around there and hope for a big volume play, then that's great. We kind of want to be there to allow them to experiment and try new things because it's important to us, because if it then works, then it could sort of, inform a lot of different decisions from developers and internal. I mean, we look at what other people are doing as well and we're like, hey, that worked out really well. Why don't we try things like that? So it's sort of like a big ecosystem of trying, sort of trial and error.
So what are you seeing? I mean, there's a really nice assortment of games out there. I'm just curious, when you take a look at what's going to be coming on, what you guys are helping out with, are you seeing certain trends? I mean, there's something very distinct about indie games that, it's not just their size and their cost.
Right.
They are very different from our traditional AAA big boy games.
Yeah. I wish I could say I want one with a mushroom head and another one with a flower character, but the reality of it is, when you look at sort of the pub fun, the assortment of content around our pub fun, you look at Dyad, a game by Sean McGrath that was so crazy and out there, and this visual shenanigans that you go on this journey to Papo and Yo, which is this amazing sort of emotional journey about this boy and his alcoholic father, to a game like Sports Friends that, especially with Joust, you have no screen at all and it's just the controllers, to Dive Kick, the craziest 2-button fighting game ever. I can't sit down and say, hey, in 6 months from now, we're going to have a game that is a 3-player game. It's more about being part of the heartbeat of the the industry and going out there. We had 6 people at PAX East just looking at different pieces of content. We go heavily to a lot of different conferences, and also social media is the best way to sort of discover new content. So we're on that a lot, downloading games for all kinds of different platforms, and then calling the people up. Or sometimes they reach out and say, hey, really want to bring this game to a PlayStation console.
So I guess something I'm interested in is there's this other platform that has been doing a lot of indie games. It's called the PC. So where do you sort of position Sony, PS3, PS4 as offering something more unique on their platform, so that like people just don't just go to the PC?
Yeah, I think the way that I see it is that a lot of people have PCs, but when they fire it up, their intention is not to play video games, right? When people fire up a PlayStation device, they're there to play video games, and that's really the focus for us. You can say that I can bring a piece of content to the widest audience by, if I'm a musician and I want a lot of people to listen to me, I take my guitar and I go to Times Square and start jamming out a tune. Fortunately, people don't go to Times Square to listen to your little music, right? So what we try to do is focus on building an auditorium of the PlayStation Nation, right? People that are fans of games and want games and are hungry for it. And then we put that on that stage, the best content out there. And that's why I think it's a great value proposition. People know what they're doing when they're firing up the PlayStation. People know what they're building when they're making games for the console. So that way we're gonna bring sort of the important people that you're trying to talk to instead of everyone.
Which brings me, I think one of the biggest challenges that a lot of these indie devs face is curation. You know, they don't have a huge marketing and PR budget. You know, someone like me, I'm lazy. Someone sends me a press release, I'm like, okay, I'll cover it.
Right.
But also, when you go on like various sites where you see a lot of these games available, it's so hard to figure out what's good, what's bad, what's more for me. I mean, is that something you guys are trying to address?
Yeah, I mean, and we already have. So we did our recent sort of PS3 store makeover, and then we also added a free-to-play. We had a lot of great free-to-play content, so we added a free-to-play storefront on the store. So it was really great to focus on, hey, there are free-to-play games here, let's try them out. So we're always looking at what different ways we can do a promotion or a sale and bring more content, more awareness and eyeballs to the content. And also allowing the developers to change their prices once their content is out there. Also allows them flexibility to sort of create their own PR blasts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to bring up your competitor, Microsoft. I mean, there's been a lot of complaints about sort of, you know, that kind of older, entrenched way of doing things. There's a lot of stuff that's come out there. Jonathan Blow has even said things. How do you sort of distinguish what's happening on the or what you guys are doing to what is currently happening with Microsoft? Of course, we don't know where they're going to go, you know, in the future.
What we're really focused on is just making sure our process is really slick and easy to get on the platform. And then how do we help our, you know, the content creators succeed, right? How do we market it, get behind it, and allow them to tell their story? That's a really big thing. If we get out of the way and allow them to have that on-ramp to success, then I think we're going to be most successful. And that's why we like to try and help them out. Say, hey, you can do this for promotion, you can do that, and get behind them and tell that story. That's the best we can do, is just listen to them, care about what they're doing, and then get out of the way and let them sort of drive for their own success.
Well, I wish you all the best. It's very exciting.
Thanks,
you so much
Adam.
for your time,
Appreciate
Adam.
it. Absolutely.